What's up, guys? Welcome back to the next episode here at Sports Talk with Hawk podcast. We are into the second of our 32 snapshots heading into the 2025 offseason. I am Hawk. Welcome into the office. And today we're going to look at a team from the AFC South, the team that I was dreading would hire Brian Flores and get the effort out of the defense that is truly there. If you know, and if you've been listening, you know I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team has a lot of controversy when it comes to should they have paid Trevor Lawrence, should they not? My thought is really simple. No quarterback looked good with Frank Reich late. None. And I really don't think the Jaguars have handled Trevor Lawrence's injuries that well the last couple of years. So all in all, I will say, I can't wait for this. This is Lawrence's chance. This is a real offensive coach that's not old school, that's not blind with the old ways, that isn't allergic to learning and moving forward. This is a coach that, look what he did with the Buccaneer offense. I think Brian Thomas is going to absolutely go off. We'll have my out-of-the-box idea here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the new head coach, Liam Cohen, the former offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he pulled his name out of the running. And then Jaguars fired the GM because the GM is the big issue. Trent Baalke was a horrible GM. DGM. Absolutely horrible GM. I will say some of the deals that are currently on the team, he's kind of trapped them for the future. But I would say there's only about 2 deals, and Lawrence is not one of them. The Lawrence deal is not one of them. They've got guys. And they have movable pieces as well. So it's not like it's hopeless in Jacksonville whatsoever. There's a lot of hope, and this is a very quick turnaround, because this team shouldn't have been as bad as they were. They opened the season in a game where they were up and then somehow lost to Miami. Still not sure how that happened. But the team is better than where they finished. That is abundantly clear. Trevor Lawrence, as long as he can come back, as long as he's able to be healthy, I believe has a really good shot at having one of the best bounce-back years ever because of how Cohen calls the offense. So let's just get straight into it. So 2024, look back at where they were before we look ahead to where they're going. Finished third in the AFC South. That earns them the number 5 pick in the NFL draft. Some of the stats for last year. So listen here. This is Doug Peterson. Now, I hated his defensive coordinator. It was awful. The scheme was awful. The personnel usage was awful. Packages, it was dead awful. I did not like the defensive coordinator whatsoever. And the numbers bear that out. So in 2024, they were the 25th best offense in the league at 306 yards per game. Brian Thomas really came on late. Mac Jones wasn't bad, and just keep in mind, we know Mac Jones isn't a great starting quarterback, but he's better than Daniel Jones. I was there for the last game of the year. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Mac Jones with a good play caller, i.e. McDaniels, isn't a bad quarterback. And he's got some arm strength. So look out for potentially some teams to take a look at him to be a guy to compete with, to make sure there's actual quarterback competition in the room. Or Liam Cohen could look at it and go, if Lawrence gets hurt, I can use Jones. Jones will work for me. So I can't wait to see what happens there. But here's the numbers. So total offense, 25th in the league at 306 yards a game. Passing offense was 24th at 204 yards a game. They were 26th in rushing for 102 yards a game. and they averaged 19 points per game. That is on offense. Now, defensively, they sucked, and I mean badly. Total defense, 31st at 390 yards a game. That's 84 more than you were gaining on offense. 84 more yards you were giving up on average per game. They were dead last against the pass, 257 yards a game. They were 25th against the run, 133 yards a game, and they allowed 26 points per game. The defense needs an overhaul. Liam Cohen, I'm waiting to see who he brings in as the defensive coordinator. Matt Eberflus is going to Dallas, which is an interesting one. So I'm really anxious to see who he brings in as his defensive coordinator. The defense needs a true defensive coordinator. It does. It absolutely needs a true defensive coordinator. If they don't have one, they're screwed badly. 26 points per game. Loses, you're automatically at 7 more points a game allowed than what you're scoring. Like, that's just, the defense needs an overhaul. Turnover differential. Negative 15. Negative 15. They had 6 interceptions on defense, 3 fumble recoveries, but they gave away 15 interceptions and gave away 9 fumbles. Negative 15. That's not how you win in this league. There is no way to be able to sustain that, just that level of play doesn't win you games in the NFL. So let's take a look. They don't have many. As you can see on the screen, they have a grand total of 15 total free agents and 10 unrestricted free agents. So they don't have a ton. They got $28 million in cap space. I do believe they'll make some cuts, but they have 10 picks in the draft. And in a draft where it's defense heavy, I think they could really revamp the secondary. They may be able to cut some pieces on the linebacking core. Maybe the defensive line. I'd love to see CJ West go to the Jaguars. I think he fits. But let's take a look at the free agents here real fast. And let's see the notable free agents. So let's see. Jacksonville. There we go. All right, so the Jaguars. Honestly, the 2 big ones are probably going to be Brandon Sharif, the former guard from Washington, longtime guard from Washington. He's a free agent. He's 33 years old, but he is going to demand a lot of looks. And the other one is going to be the free safety, the 25-year-old Andre Sisco, who I really like and that Jacksonville needs to re-sign. Mac Jones is also a free agent. Brandon Sharif had a $16 million cap hit. That will drop down. So he's not going to be that expensive. I expect $7 to $9 million. Maybe a 1 or 2 year deal would be my guess. CJ Beathard is also a free agent. Jeremiah Ledbetter, Caleb Johnson, bunch of, floating guys that have gone around the league. So no big issues. You're not losing any of the main core if you're Jacksonville. None. And you've got 10 picks in this draft. So at this point in time, I would say the future looks really bright. If Liam Cohen can have an offense that even closely mimics the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anywhere near close to mimicking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, what's the out-of-box idea? I was trying to figure this one out. My out-of-box idea is actually going to be a little bit different. You own the number 5 pick. I don't know what the number 5 pick really affords you. And you're going to see this a lot with some of these teams that don't have an overly glaring issue outside of offensive line. So we said for the Patriots, trade back, get Tyler Lockett, get Noah Fant, and then, move from, I said Fant, I knew what I meant, and move back from there. With the Jaguars, I think kind of the same thing. I believe they can go out and get a veteran offensive line, potentially two offensive linemen to help shore up what is the weakest part of this team right now. You could go get a couple of young players that may be bust somewhere else. I would go to defensive head coach teams. I would. So what would we do? What's the out-of-box idea? I don't believe the running back room in Jacksonville is what Cohen wants. Bisbee, he's a nice gadget guy. He's not a number one. Dearness Johnson's proven he's not really a number one. Travis Etienne, I mean, he keeps going back and forth. I don't think he sticks around. So the running back room is going to be completely revamped, in my opinion, during this offseason. Bisbee and Etienne may both be out. Draft 2 running backs. You'd probably be better off drafting rookie running backs at this point. So make a trade. You make a trade with Arizona. Yes, you make a trade with Arizona. And here's why. I was looking at their free agents the other day. And what I noticed was we've got some dudes in Arizona that could be really good pieces for them to replace quickly. They have Budda Baker at safety, Jalen Thompson as safety, Sean Murphy-Bunting at corner. That would every single one of those would help get the Jaguars secondary up to snuff. Right now they struggle. They absolutely struggle. And the way that everything plays out, going to the Cardinals, the only free agent they really have, and we'll get to this in their snapshot, but really the best free agent that they have for the Cardinals organization right now is Kaiser White. He's a free agent. He's a linebacker. So I fully believe they could go out, get Jalen Thompson. I don't think Budda wants to leave. I don't. Budda Baker feels like a Max Crosby for the Raiders right now. I think Budda wants to stay with Arizona and just play his career out, and I have deep respect for that. Jalen Thompson could really cover one side, the back end, especially in cover one. Sean Murphy-Bunting at corner could really, really help him. Now, whether or not Arizona wants to move off of him, that doesn't come into play when you're talking about off-the-wall, out-of-the-box ideas. So I would trade the number 5 pick to Arizona. I would get easily. You got Christian Kirk, or you signed Christian Kirk after he left Arizona, and that hasn't worked out too well. I would offer Parker Washington along with the number 5 pick. Get Jalen Thompson or Sean Murphy-Bunting. Get one of the offensive linemen that they have. Will Hernandez is actually a free agent for them this year. So he's going to be he's a lot like Brandon Sharif. He's older. You're just going to want him to be a stalwart on the offensive line, just an experienced guy. He's going to get beat sometimes, but he's going to be really solid. There are solid offensive linemen, not great offensive linemen in this free agency. And the same in the draft. They're solid. They're going to have to grow into great. So for me, I'm going after the Cardinals, getting some secondary help for myself, letting the Cardinals move up, getting an offensive lineman, give them Parker Washington because I know Arizona wants receivers, and go from there. And honestly, figure out what to do with Kirk because I think you need to cut him. Gabe Davis can be your number 2. Gabe Davis can absolutely be number 2. Christian Kirk needs to be cut, released, take the dead cap money for this year, whatever it may be. Trade him away if you can. Kirk is not worth the money you paid him. We knew that when you signed him. Brian Thomas is the number 1. Gabe Davis is the number 2. Draft. You got 10 picks in the draft. Draft your slot guy. Draft 2 running backs. You can draft a line. You got Evan Ingram. You got Brenton Strange at tight end. Now you're relying on health when it comes to Evan Ingram, and I get that. My other out of the box idea was to trade away Evan Ingram and not lose your number 5 pick. I was actually going to trade a second round and Evan Ingram and maybe a 6th round to get the 14th, 12th pick for them to get Tyler Warren or Loveland. That was my other out-of-the-box idea. But looking at it, they need their free safety in cover 1. They don't have it right now, and they need it. It's that simple. So, there's the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think optimism has to be high. Liam Cohen, if you guys watch the Tier or listen to the Tier podcast, I believe I gave him a C because I just don't know anything about him. There's not a huge body of work like there is with Ben Johnson. So we'll see what staff he puts together. I'm really anxious to see what defensive coordinator he puts in there and where it goes from there. Really, really anxious to see that. But I am excited. I do believe, unfortunately, they are going to improve. And the way too early prediction is if he gets Lawrence in that offense rolling the way the Buccaneers did, they can go 10-7. They got a pretty easy schedule next year, so they can go 10-7. Wouldn't put it past them. But I got to see who the staff is, who he fills out the staff with on defensive coordinator, to be able to really get an idea of what we're going to be able to see from them on the defensive side of the ball in 2025. So there are the Jacksonville Jaguars. So New England Patriots, down. Jacksonville Jaguars, down. Which team's going to be tomorrow? You have to find out tomorrow. Yeah, I know. All right, so that's going to be it for me on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Make sure to listen to all of the Snapshot podcasts. There will be one released 5 days a week. I think I'm going to be able to make it before the league year opens. So all 32 teams, the simple information you as a fan want to know. That's what these are for. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Have a great rest of your day. Until tomorrow, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out.